if you just look at mark, generally whenever it has been encountered this line, okay, so there is a heap here, okay, and also string constant, okay, so both we have. So I'm just writing here string constant pool as well as string constant pool as well as heap memory. Generally, whenever you allocate memory with the help of new operator, it allocate inside the heap area as well as string constant, inside the string constant. Okay, but generally here string constant put doesn't allow duplicate content. It doesn't allow duplicate content. So what will happen now in this case? If you just look at here, already the talent show occupy here inside the heap memory and also in the string constant pool. Okay, but here in this case s is always point to the heap memory. S is always point to the heap memory. Okay, heap memory. But generally I told you that, remember, for every memory location there will be some unique code will be generated here. So I'll write in some unique code generated. So like right here some unique code has been generated here. So if you see that at this point here, whenever it has been encountered here, so probably it is creating an object inside the heap as well as string constant. But here probably it always point to the heap memory. It always point to the heap. So that's the reason it is pointing here. But generally, if you take here, okay, string str equal to talent show. So it will not allocate memory here. It allocate inside the string constant pool. So whenever you created the string by using literal, he never create inside the heap. It will create inside the SCP, which is a part of heap only. But I'm writing this separately for understanding purpose. So it allocates separately inside the SCP. But one thing is very important. Generally, SCP doesn't allow duplicate. Okay, so first what he will do before allocating memory, he will cross check that whether the same content is already there or not there. If already there here, he will not create again. That means he will not create separately again talent show like this. Okay, instead of that, he is going to point. He's going to point here. Okay, he is going to point here this one. Okay, it is going to point to the where SCP here. So this is very important, guys. This is very important here. Okay, now I hope the point is clear. Now for example, assume that I have created, let's say, another talent show I have created. So tell me guys, now what happened now? Whether he is going to create another object now? No, it won't create. Instead of that, what he will do, he will point to the same reference. He will point to the same reference, right? Sir, how we can prove that these are both are pointing to the same reference? If both are pointing to the same reference, you can just cross check that str is equal to ss. Then you can print the message. Okay, both are pointing to same reference. Okay, both are pointing to the same reference here. Okay, now is it clear now? Both are pointing to the same reference here. So this is how you can generalize. You can do it here, right? So if you want to prove it, so for example, if I say s is equal to str, both are equal? No, both are not equal. Okay, so here if I just say that, if what is the reference here? Reference is s here, right? If you say s is sorry, here are same reference. both are not same reference. So if you see that, okay, S and SDR, okay, here the content is same, but memory allocation is different. If memory allocation is different here, then obviously I can say it is going to execute else part. So in this case, what happened now? It is going to execute else part. It is going to execute else part. Okay, in this case, which is going to execute now? Okay, else part I have not written. Assume that I have written else part. Tell me, in this case here, it is going to execute what? If part. Why? Because both are pointing to the same object here. Now suppose if you got the requirement where you want to compare the content, where you want to compare the content. So if you feel that you want to compare the content but not the reference, then in this case you can use equals method. What you can use? Equals method. So you can print it here, both are equal. So both countries are equal. Else, okay, both are not equal. So here generally what happened ma in this case, what exactly we're doing here? Here in this case we are comparing the content here. So in this case it is going to execute what? Both are equal. So if you feel that you want to compare the content but not the reference, then please use the equals method. If you want to check the reference, then please use equal operator there. What you can use? You can use equal operator there. I hope people have understood the differences. People, have you understood the differences now? Or still any confusion here? It is clear the differences, right? Anyone can reply if you get it. I'll just monitor here. Yeah, is it clear? Shekhar, Amarnath, is it okay now? Everyone is following? Guys, are you understanding? Is it people are there now in the session? Yes, okay. Thank you guys for your reply. Fine, great. So I hope it's understand. For your understanding purpose, I'll show you here. Okay. First, I'll check the reference. Okay. Both are pointing to same reference. This part system.out.println. Both are not pointing to same reference. Okay. This is very important question. Okay. So here, let's see that. Now, can you guess what can be the output here? See, content is same, but memory location is different. So that means both are not pointing to same here. Okay. So let's compile and execute now. Both are not pointing to same reference. You got it now? Not pointing. Suppose in this case, I was comparing the reference, right? I was checking the reference. Okay. In this example, what exactly we're doing here now? We're just checking the differences here. I'm just putting the backup here so that I can share. So what exactly we're doing here? We're just comparing the references. Now I don't want to check the references. I want to check the content. So I can use a method. What is the method we can use now? Equals method. Just take the object. So you can pass any object. It can be string, it can be employee to which you want to compare. Which is written boolean, means either true or false. So here I'm going to check equals str. Okay. I know this method is going to return true. If it is written true here, then condition is true, it will come here. So both are, or we can say both content is same. Both content is same. So here you can say here both content is not same here. Yeah. It's record once. Let's check once more. Okay, spelling mistake maybe have written. So we got compilation successfully. Run the program. So both content is same here. Yes, perfectly is working. Both content is same. So guys, what we have learned is if I want to compare the content of a string, though the memory allocation is different, then please try to use method called as equals method. What is the method now? Equals method you can take. By using equals method, we is used to compare the content of a string. Okay, so I will write here now. By using equals method, we can compare the content of a string. Okay, if if both s1 and s2 are equal, then it return true, otherwise return false here. Okay, so remember this point here. Okay, so both can return true or false. I'm just checking back up here now. Okay, is it clear now? So this is very important to be understand. Like this, guys, you can use all this method. Suppose if you want to convert lowercase, you can use two lowercase. If you want to convert into uppercase, you can use uppercase. If you want to remove the spaces, for example, now I'll show you an example. Suppose you have a string. Okay, so before and after spaces you have, let's say for example, talent show. So I want to remove the leading spaces. So here I'm going to return here, because if you just look at the tree method is returning the string here. So I'll hold in the string. A string is a immutable object. So what happened now? It is going to remove the leading spaces like before and after there. Okay, so tree means removing the spaces. Removing the spaces there. If you just look at here, it has been removed the spaces. For example, I want to show the original string first. I'll show the original string, then I update the original string here. Okay, now let's compile and then execute here. So if you see that the original string, this space and before space. So before space you can't see actually, but still I'm putting here. So before and after spaces we have removed. In this case, you can just take the help of what now? Tree method. So tree method is used to remove the leading spaces before and after here. Okay now? So are you able to follow now? Is it clear? Remove the before and after the spaces between the string here. So here I'll just put it here for your understanding purpose. So we have a method called as tree here. Okay, it remove before and after spaces. Before and after space. Okay, given string. Okay. So example. I'm giving the below example. So definition is exam also there. Okay, now you remove the spaces before and after that. Okay, now people understood now. Like this, now you can use number of methods. You can use number of methods. Apart from that, I'll show you the split method also. Okay, split method. Now, for example, here let's assume that. Okay, I have 20, say March, okay, and 2000. Okay, I will not take March. Okay, it's the worst year for everyone. So 2021 I'll take it. You know, so instead of this, I'll take Jan. January or Jan. So what is my requirement, people? Now I want to split. Okay, I want to split this string wherever I found the delimiter. So what is the delimiter here? Hyphen. Okay, so in this case, you can take the help of what no split method. So which is returning the string array. Okay, by using this, by using split method, we can split the given string sorry, based on delimiter which we specify. Okay, based on delimiter which we specify. Okay, so this is about your split method. Right. So let's see that I want to split here wherever I found hyphen. So I'm going to take split method and I take hyphen. So it is going to divide wherever you find delimiter. So when you divide it here, we'll get day, we'll get month, we'll get year. So that I'm going to store in another string, the array. So what is the meaning of this one here now? That means here in this array, it has been stored day and month and year. So for understanding purpose, you can just print it here. Okay, day. I'm taking 0 index because it's stored in the form of array. No? Here, yeah, yes, system dot or dot println here. Okay. So what is the meaning of this one here? If you just look at this one example, for understanding purpose, I'll use a print. So if you just look at now what happens is now, so whenever it is using split here, so it will divide here string, and this string here divide into array here. So this is array. In the array, it has been stored. Okay, in this array, it has been stored. What he has stored now? He has stored 22. He has stored January. He has stored 2021. And index is 0. This is 1. This is 2 here. These all are in the form of string only. Okay, so what we are doing here now? So day of 0. So day of 0 is in the form of string here. So we are concatenating here. So day column will get 22. Then new line, month column Jan. Then next line, year column 2021. So that means here we have split it here wherever we found hyphen. So what happened now? It will divide here, it will divide here, and this individual it is stored into the array. And from the array, by accessing the index positions, we are getting an ending on the console. Let's check out once more whether we are correct or wrong. So, okay. So let's see test.java, and then I'll just execute this program. So if you see that we got day 22, month we got Jan, and 20. So here the point is the original string, whatever we have split it here wherever we found hyphen. Wherever we found hyphen here, it has been break, it has been split it here. Is it clear now? Like this, you can use all the respective methods, depends on your requirement. So I request you remaining methods you try. Okay, remaining methods you try here. Remaining methods I request you please try now. Okay, so index of, okay, is empty, length caret, substring, and etc. Okay, now so you can use it and okay, try here. I hope you can try now, all of you. Or can I show you the substring also? Can I show you substring or you will try? Everyone will try now, all of you. Could you try, all of you? Okay. So here the most important interview question. Okay, probably it can be asked for you. What is the difference between string and string buffer? Okay. Next one is I have taken the backup for you. Yeah. Next important thing is difference between a string and string buffer. Difference between string and string buffer. Guys, whatever the points actually what we are discussing, we are just taking the black book. Okay. Nageshwar Rao. So if I have the PDF of Nageshwar Rao, that I can share you also. Okay. So it takes time for me. So once I get it here, I'll share you that PDF also. It is easy for you to refer. Take it out because some people ask me the notes and all the things. Okay, now you please refer the black book is enough for you. If you refer the black book, okay, that is Nageshwar Rao. Author name is Nageshwar Rao. Taken. So I'll just finding here. Once I get it here, I'll share with you the PDF. Is it clear? Definitely is getting help for you. Lot. Lot means lot. Okay. Okay. Great. So now, so tell me here. Anyone can tell me the differences between the string and string buffer? The first thing is string and string buffer both are classes. Okay, both are classes, right? Now, generally here, if you talk about string here, basically the string is mutable or immutable object, guys. What we learn, string is immutable, you cannot modify it. But whereas string buffer is mutable, you can modify it here. Okay, I was not saying all this one. This all the points are said by Sun Microsystem. Okay, I was not saying my from own side. Okay, all the points it is given by the Sun Microsystem in their API. Okay, so let me share you the API also. Share the API. You can see the browser. It is processing. I'll open the API also. So today topic also packages we have to discuss. So in that we need pack API also to be make you to understand. So don't worry, I will explain here today all the things. Okay, so here if you just look at here string buffer, they can give the description also. Okay, so here the point which is given is a thread safe and mutable sequence of characters. A string buffer is like a string but can be modified. So I'm not saying this point. This point said by Sun Microsystem, who has given actually this predefined class. So compare with the string and the string buffer. String buffer is you can modify it. you can modify it here. Okay now. So for this he has given the methods for us. Okay, so what is the method he has given? See, can you reverse it now? You can replace it here. Now this replace method, okay, sorry, this reverse method is not there in string class. If you go for the string class, this is not there in the string class. You cannot find the reverse method there. Okay, fine. Already we discussed all the points. If you just look at one, can you find the reverse method here? Replace method is there, but you cannot find the reverse method because you cannot modify it here. You cannot modify it here, right? So, but whereas here in case of string buffer, we can modify it here. So, for example, for example, I was taking here string. Let's say I'm taking a talent here, and I'm creating object for string buffer is b equal to new buffer is b dot reverse. Okay, using what reverse, and that reverse here I want to get back here. So probably if I print it here as b, can I get the string value here? So I'll just pass it the string here because already we have the string. Okay, so I'm just modifying here. See, generally you have seen that, right? Whenever I modify here, it is going to modify to the actual content. Yes, it is modify the actual content. Let's look out here. I'll do the differences also. Okay, spelling mistake I've done. Can we string the original string here? Yes, we have original string, we have modified it. Now let's understand the differences between the string and the string buffer there. Okay, so here itself I'll show you practically the differences. For example, if I take an s new string, let's say talent show space s dot concat of private. Okay, I'm going to print here s here. Okay, and I'll take here string buffer sp new string buffer. I'll take here talent show, and here I'm going to use append. So we have the method called as append. Let's go and check it. Yes, we have method called as append. Okay, so we have append method. Append here private. So when I print it here, you could understand the differences also. From this example, you can understand. See, generally, what I told you guys now, the differences here. So let me take here this one. With the diagram, we'll understand. And here, giving the differences, so you can understand. Now let's understand the differences in terms of memory management. Now, in general, I told you that in case of string here, it is going to create in both heap as well as string constant, right? And we are using new operator. Okay, so what happened now in this case? It is going to point always to the heap memory. So this is heap, and this is a string constant. But s is always point to home. This is always point to this one, right? Next, whenever it is encounter concat, so string is immutable or mutable. Immutable, you cannot modify it. So what I told you that instead of that he will create another object. He will create another object. He will create another object. And here also it will maintain one copy. It will maintain another copy. Right? But still it is pointing to what the talent show. So that means when you print it here S, when you print it S, what is the output we are expecting? The talent show. What is the output we are expecting? Talent show. Now if you just come out here string buffer, there is no string constant pool concept here in case of string buffer. In case of string buffer, whenever you create an object here, you have created an object here, that is first talent show. Okay, and here SB is going to point here. Now whenever you encounter here SB dot append, what you will do, instead of creating here, it will modify the existing object. So it is modifying the existing object. So when you print it here SB, what is the output we are getting? Talent show private. So from this point I can see that here yes ma string buffer is a mutable. It will modify the existing object, whereas string is a immutable. We cannot modify it. Rather than every time it is going to create a new object here. So let's check whether we are correct or wrong ma. Let's check once. Let's compile it. And here I'm going to run the program. See, first one, if you just look at here, we got S as a talent show. Now next one string buffer, I got what? Talent show private. So from this point, I have understood that yes, string is what? Is a immutable object, whereas string buffer is mutable object. Are you able to follow guys now? Differences you are you understanding the differences here? Is it clear? Understood or not? People, are you able to follow? Everyone following? What differences? See, all the points I was not saying. This is a point which is already given by the Sun microsystem. Who has given? Sun microsystem there. Okay, now so this is very important here. Okay, now fine. So this is a quite differences here. I hope that people have understood in this example there. Just taking here back up. So the most important thing is what you can find. One important thing, the differences is what? String string buffer both are classes which is defined in java.lang package. But whereas string is okay, basically the string is immutable, whereas string buffer is mutable here. Okay, now so this is two differences is enough for you to understand as of now. Okay, so like this you can also work with other methods. I hope that people start working with the methods there, right? So with this knowledge we have just understood about the string and the string buffer there. Moving to the next one, we'll talk about access modifier. Okay, we'll talk about access modifier here. So let's talk about access modifier here. Okay, next. See, generally, when you use the word modifiers are keyword that are added to change meaning of a definition. So basically, in case of Java, there are two categories here. One is access control modifier and non-access modifier. What is the first one? Access control modifier and non-access modifier. Now, what do you mean by access modifier? Java language has four access modifier in order to control or access level of the classes, variables, methods, and the constructor there. And the constructor. So what are the access modifier we have? Okay, first one is private, public, protected, and default. Private, public, protected, and default. So default is nothing but is not a keyword, okay, which means nothing actually, okay. That means if you doesn't specify public, if you doesn't specify protected, if you doesn't specify private, then in this case, guys, it is going to consider as a default. Is a default. So let's understand individually what is what. Default. Default has a scope only inside the same package. Okay, inside the same package. See, we have to know the package also. We are going to learn, don't worry. Next, public. Public has a scope that is visible everywhere. Everywhere means within the package, outside the package. Protected. Protected has scope within the package and all subclasses. Scope is within the package, but all the subclasses. Private. Private has a scope only within the class. So that means you cannot access outside the world. So picture here to understand. So just imagine that we have one package. Okay, we have one package. In that package, we have the two classes. Okay, we have the two classes. This is one class, and this is another class. In this class, I have written private and protected. Okay, I have written private and protected. So what is the scope of a private within the class? Okay, though it is the same package, you cannot access private variable in another class. Even the child class you cannot access because the scope is within the class. But whereas protected, you can access within the class, outside the class if it is having relationship, that is a relationship. Okay, and sir, outside the class, outside the package, yes ma, but only thing is it should have the relationship. It should have the relationship. But if you see the default here, the scope is within the package, even though the subclasses, but should be within the package, but not outside the package. But whereas public, within and outside, he can access anywhere. He can access anywhere there. Okay, now. So from this, diagram, we could understand that the scope and the visibility of the respective access modifier. Okay, now, right? Now, if you see that with more details, access modifier we are given. Okay, so public, same class, yes. Same package, yes. Subclasses, yes. Other packages also, yes. Everywhere is possible here. Now protected, same class, okay. Same package, okay. Subclass, yes. But other packages directly, no, it's not possible. It's not possible there. No access modifier, that is a default. Same class, yes. Same package, yes. Subclass, no sir. Other packages, no sir, it's not possible. Okay, understood now? Same subclass. So subclass is only possible if it is in the same package because same package is possible. But other, it's not possible. Private, same class, yes, ma, possible. Same package, okay, outside the class, not possible. Same package, child class, not possible. Other packages, not possible. So from this table, we have just put the visibility or the scope of the respective access modifier. Okay, now let's understand with an example. If you take the private access modifier is access only within the class. So for example, we have public class clock and I've taken a variable whose variable name is time, which is taken 0, and I've made as private. Now the question is, can I use outside the class this variable? No, you cannot use it. You cannot use it. So visibility of this one is what? Within this one. Okay. So if you see that public class clock, long time 0. Okay. Now, if it is a private here, you cannot access directly. So that's the reason I was using getters and setter methods. Setter methods is used to set the time. Getter methods used to get the time. So this is actually the encapsulation example where you want to control over on the data. So that is up to you. If you want to make only read only, you can make read only. If you want to make a write only, you can make a write only. If you want to make a read and write only, you can also make read and write. So here, if you see the getter method, which is used to give the time, Here setter method which is used to set the modify or update the time here. Okay, so that is private scope is inside, you cannot use outside directly. That's the reason we are using public methods in order to get and set the data. Okay now, right? Is it clear now? Right. Next, second thing, private constructor. Sir, can I write a private to the constructor, sir? So if a constructor in a class is assigned the private, if a constructor in a class is assigned the private Java access modifier, that means that constructor cannot be called from anywhere outside the class. A private constructor can still get called from other constructor or from static method in the same class. You can call within the same class, but you cannot call from outside. So basically, if you see the real-time scenarios, we use for designing the singleton design pattern. Okay. Generally, what happens is, if you make a constructor as a private, no one can create object from outside. Okay, no one can create object from outside. You cannot create an object if a class is a constructor. Sorry, if constructor is a private there. So here, if you make a constructor as a private, okay, no one can create object of that class. Okay, but if you want to use it, you can return back that constructor reference so that we can access the data. That is nothing but singleton design pattern, basically, for which we are creating only one object and we want to use only for multiple times. Okay, then you can use a singleton design pattern. So yes, there is a possible to write the private as a constructor, but what will happen if you put the constructor as a private? You can't create object for that class. You can't create object for that class. Okay? Why? Because we know the scope of a private is only within, but you cannot access outside. So let's see here now. Now if you just look at here, I have taken a class called as clock and I've taken a long time private. So this is a constructor. This is a parameterized constructor which take input as the time, which is used to initialize the time. And I'm using static method, okay, which is returning the clock object. So if you see that, I told you the point, you cannot create object for the constructor outside. You say outside, but here we are creating inside the class only. So inside the class, I was creating the clock object where I was returning the current time in the form of milliseconds. So what happened now, this constructor will be called here like this, and whatever the current time, this is in terms of milliseconds, will be updated in the variable. And finally that we are printing on the console, and this is a public, right? So what is the meaning of this one? That means whenever you call here new clock, whenever you call new clock, it will create an object for the clock cost and it will return the current time here. It will return the current time here, and that will be initialized in the variable. And whenever you call display method, now what will happen now when you call the display method? And display method should also be static now. It should also be static, otherwise you can't access because you can't create object now. So it should be the static. Here should be static here. Okay, because if you can't create object from outside, then how you can access instance method? So you cannot access instance method. So make as static so that you can call with class name. So for example, I will make it here. You make as static. Okay, so now what you can do here from the outside, you can call clock dot, directly you can call a method display. So it will call this method. This method is going to print the time. This method is going to print the time here. I hope it was clear, right? But people, now generally here, I told you that if you make this static here, okay, this way, you can call directly. But the problem is, if you call time like this directly, it will return okay, zero value. So what we can do here very smartly is this here. Okay, what we can do here, you can call clock dot new clock, okay, which is return new clock object. Okay, then you can call c dot display, that you can do. So that means you can't create an object, no, but you, at least you can get the object. So what happened now, whenever you call clock dot new, it will call this method. This method is going to return the new object, and that is going to point here. And with this one, it is calling a method which is returning the, which is printing the time there. Okay, now so this is how you can do it if you write the constructor as a private here. So that means here you are getting the object rather than you are creating, because this is a private constructor, is a private, so you cannot create it. So that's the reason we are getting the object, and that object reference we are storing the C reference, and then after that we are calling the method which is used to print the time here. Okay, people, understood now? Somewhat. Is it clear? Right. So like this also we can also check for other methods also. Default. So default Java access modifier is declared by not writing any access modifier at all. So that means if you haven't written private, protected and public, then it will be considered as a default. Default access modifier means that code inside the class itself as well as code inside the class in the same package as this class can access the class, field and the constructor of the method, which is a default access modifier. So if you make default, so that means if you are not written any private, protected and public, it will be considered as default. So what's the scope of a default? Within the class, outside the class, same package. Therefore, default access modifier is also sometimes referred as package access modifier. Okay, na? So there is another name for this. Now let's say example. So public class clock. So I have not written private, I have not written public, I have not written protected. So can I say now it is a default? Yes. What is the scope of a default? Within the class? Yes. Now outside the class, but same package. So suppose that this is the same package. Both the classes are in the same package. Let's say package name is T1. Let's assume here. So the package is the same here, right? So within this package here, it can able to access here. Yes, it is going to access here. So can I return here clock dot time here? Yes, we can access, right? So this is one class, this is another class, right? This is one class and this is another class. And in this class we have a method. So here I was creating an object for this class and I was returning the time for this one. So that means here, can we access now? Yes, possible. Why? Because the scope is within the class, outside the class, but same package here. Okay, now. So that's it for today. We will continue in the next session there. Okay, so from this point, we'll continue the next session. So if you have any queries, please let me know because the time is over. You might be having other sessions. Any queries, guys? No queries. Okay. So from this point, we'll try to continue in the next session. So till there, guys, take care and bye.